I'm Pastor John Spalding, lead pastor of Church of the Shepherd, and I want to invite you to join us as we explore for 4 weeks, Simplify. Many of us are familiar with SMART goals at work or setting goals for personal health or finances. These are great things and they provide good ways for us to move forward in becoming who we want to be at work as a better employee, achieving our financial goals, or even better health. But have you ever considered who you want to become as a whole person? Have you ever thought about what kind of legacy do you want to live, or what would it look like if you lived out your life on purpose? Without a clear plan for discovering who we want to become, a clear plan for living into who we want to become, we might achieve it, but likely we won't. We'll probably become someone lesser than who we could really be. In these next 4 weeks, I invite you to take a journey with us. Each week we'll share a video that you can watch with a friend or two, maybe from work or maybe from your neighborhood. We'll provide some reflection questions for you to reflect upon and to think about. And then you might even discover some next steps you want to take as you reflect on those questions or reflect on the video. You might not all agree on the same next steps. You might not all agree on everything that you talk about, but you will find a way to take that next step for becoming who God wants you to become. So gather up your friends and let's begin. Today's exploration really does focus on just that main question, who do I want to become? You've probably already thought about that some in your own life. You've maybe decided that you want to become more compassionate or more patient. Maybe you want to become more joy-filled or generous, or maybe you want to give up an addiction that you have of some kind or another. You know what's at the center of your heart of who you want to become, but you're not the only one who knows. God also knows what your desires are, and God also knows who He created you to be, what that purpose is really about. So today, let's see if we can discover that together. As we look at Exodus chapter 33, beginning in verse 7, I invite you to look at that later on, but what happens is that Moses has an encounter with God. They share a conversation about who Moses is wanting to be and who God is wanting Moses to become. And in that encounter, we discover 3 things that would be helpful to us as we're thinking about who we are going to become. First, we discover that we need to spend time with God. Moses spent time with God every day as with a friend. Do you spend time with God every day? Maybe you don't know how to do that. Maybe you're wondering, I don't even know who God is, or I don't know how to talk with God. Just talk with God as if God is a friend. And even if you don't know who God is, just spend some time being still, just speaking out loud, listening to what might come to your heart. Just being in that presence, God will make God's self known to you. And then second, go with God. That's really what God was asking Moses to do. Come and go with me, Moses. I'll lead you. I'll show you a way. Just go with me in that kind of way. I mean, have you ever had a nudge in your life that you listened to and you discovered, man, that was exactly what I needed to do? Or maybe there was a nudge and you didn't listen to it and you wish you had afterwards. That kind of nudge, that kind of speaking is a way that we go with God. We respond to where God is nudging us and we lean into that. And then not only do we go with God, but we let God go with us. That may seem kind of silly. I mean, after all, God is God and God can go where God wants to go. But really, we have a choice to choose whether we let God go with us. Whether we let God's grace and God's love and strength and forgiveness go with us or not, that's entirely up to us. We know those things are real, but we don't always take them with us wherever we go. So how do we go with God and let God go with us? Well, Paul writes to the Colossians in chapter 3 these words, and I encourage you to write these verses down, chapter 3, verses 1 and 2, and memorize them. It's a good way for us to focus our thoughts. Colossians chapter 3, verse 1 then says, Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, and not on earthly things. Where we focus our attention, what we listen to, what we pay attention to, that's where we're going to go. That's who we're going to become. So set your thoughts and your heart on God, set them on the things of Jesus, and you will become who God has created you to be. May God go with you, and may you take God with you, and may He bless you deeply.